6440 to order. Before we begin, please silence those cell phones. I would like to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Our club mission is to provide a supportive learning environment through which members feel empowered to become better public speakers by developing their competent communication and leadership skills. And without further ado, please welcome today's Toastmaster, Ernst U.
There's a couple of people that are missing this morning. Phyllis is not here. Has anybody heard about whether she's coming or not? But Lori is here, Rich is here, Martin Bell. We have everybody here except one speaker. So, and Marty Simon is the timer. It's not. Anybody wants to step in for timer? Who doesn't have anything to do?
Give me your book.
So how long is my evaluation? There's only one timer evaluation. Minimize that.
You want to do the timer?
Julia's moving on.
Julia is doing the.
You remember right? Heavily skilled, you got that. Over there, next to
The theme of today's meeting is forgive and forget. I came up with this meeting theme early on, like Tuesday of last week or Wednesday, and when I finalized the agenda on Sunday evening, I totally forgot why I used this theme. I already had put it in easy speak, so I couldn't change it. I'm sure, where's the word of the day?
Here it is.
Impugn, okay. I'm sure I had an impugn emotional experience at the time coming up with this theme or impugn feeling. You can?
No,
But whatever the reason is, I had that feeling. I came up with this concept that forgive and forget for someone who went through or had loved ones at the 9/11 experience, Holocaustic experience for that matter, or went through the German Holocaust. I'm sure it is very hard to forgive and forget. Sometimes, you had some smaller experience, it's easier to do so, though. We have heard it 1,000 times, you need to forgive and forget, but it is truly how we feel. When someone really hurts you, do you want to forgive that person? Forgiving seems almost unnatural, right, James? Okay, we'll talk about this a little later. Now, I'd like to introduce our technical table. Starting with our counter, Sam Davis. Please explain your role.
Good morning, everyone. How we doing? Excellent. As the on counter, is my function to listen for the use of filler words such as you know, so, okay, and any other audible fillers. I'll also be counting lip smacks, double clutches, which means to say, such as that. And I will give my report at the end of the meeting. Thank you. 5 cents per line.
Our grammarian today is James Harris. Please explain your role, James.
For today, first of all, is imbue. I-M-B-U-E. It means to, and I just got to impregnate. Explain that, please. To inspire.
I don't like that word.
How are we going to do that this meeting? Explain.
I think Rich said it right.
Listen,
I don't want to be
there's more depth to this word. Or fill with feelings or opinions. So when we try to imbue youth with wisdom, we are attempting to instill and saturate them with it. Or the new political leader was imbued with the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. Imbued. You get a chance to speak today? This is your new word. Imbued. Now be careful how you use it.
I did not imbue someone for a long time. Is that correct? Did I say that correctly? Oh, damn it.
I think your
Order!
Our calendar, our timer is now, Julia, please explain your role. Thank you for stepping in for my assignment.
My function is to time the speakers, evaluators, and table topic participants. To ensure they meet the timing requirements, I will demonstrate the timing lights, which are displayed as followed. And since we have 2 time frames this morning for our speakers, I'll just say lower, mid, and higher levels. So the green is the lowest level at 5 and 8 respectively to start. The yellow is the 2nd minute of the 3, and the red will be the 3rd minute of the 3. I will repeat my
It is now time for our speakers. Instead of listening to Phyllis, she may or may not come. We're going to speaker number 2, which is Laura Richards. She's speaking from the Competent Communicators Value, section number 10, Inspire Your Audience. Her subject is Love Like Crazy. Have you ever wondered what it's like? Have you ever wondered what it's like in another family? How does that other family discuss big issues? What would it be like to listen in on to those deep conversations? We're going to do just that. She's a mom, and for the next few minutes, you are her kids. Welcome, Maureen! It's Love Like Crazy!
So, your brother is getting married in a few short months. And while I have the opportunity, I wanted to share some things with you that I've learned from being married to your dad for several years. Now,
To marry who?
to your dad.
Oh.
You're my kids.
Oh.
Yeah, not to her dad, your dad. Now, I know you're not the one getting married, so don't be rolling your eyes at me. But this is going to be the last time that I have all 3 of you together as single adults, because by the time you get married, he's going to already have kids. And he's not going to haul his behind over here to listen to mom speak, right? So stop rolling your eyes at me. Now you know, because you've lived with me for all these years, and you know me as mom. And I may not know a lot of things, but I like to think that I know about this topic because I'm a veteran. Your brother's getting married. I've been married for 32 long years. So that's kind of, well, I don't mean it in a bad way, you know your dad. It kind of gives me the right to tell you stuff. Plus, I'm a mom. I can tell you whatever I want, right? So I have the right to do that. So the first thing that I want to tell you, that I want you to remember as you're getting married, is you have to be all in. I didn't raise any quitters. You have to be all in. When you say I do, there can't be a hint or an inkling in the back of your mind that maybe it's going to just get divorced. No, that can't be. You can't do that. When you say I do, it has to be forever. Because if you have it in the back of your mind, in the back of your head that you can get out of it, it'll make you behave differently. You might not work through the hard times because, hey, I don't have to do this. I can get out of it if I want to. It's going to cost me several $1,000s or whatever. You can't do that. If you want your marriage to last for a long time, you have to listen to me because I know That's what moms do, right? We've been through down this road, and so we try to share this with you. So be all in. Make a commitment. There's so many people that, I don't think anybody goes into a marriage thinking that they're going to get divorced. But you have to live intentionally. You have to do things to protect yourself against that. So that's my number one thing that I want to impart to you. The second thing that I want you to remember as you're getting married is you're going to have times when you fight and where you think, why did I do this? You know, what possessed me to say I do to this person? And you're going to have disagreements. But you need to fight fair. You need to be very careful on how you fight. I didn't raise any dirty fighters. This is the person that you love. So there cannot ever be a time where you take the gloves off and everything becomes personal. So your wife ends up spending $200 on a purse when you needed it to pay the car insurance. Or you wanted to spend $200 on that gun or whatever, and she's like giving you grief about it. If you're going to argue about those points. Don't ever let it spiral downward into something that's personal. So if your wife spent the $200 on the purse and you're pissed off about it, you shouldn't say things like, you know, you could have invested that $200 more wisely and talked to Rich Mouse and said he could help your jiggly kids get better. It can never get personal like that. You have to fight clean. You have to just argue the points. Whatever the point is that you're arguing, just argue that. That's one thing that I learned. And hopefully, well, you know, you've lived in this house for all these years and you've heard the knockdown, drag-out fights that your dad and I've had. And hopefully I've demonstrated to you that you can be frustrated, you can be angry, but it can still be clean. Just because you're raising your voice doesn't mean that you're wrong. Everyone gets angry. Just fight fair. And the third thing I want you to remember has to do with that is when you get frustrated with your wife or your husband, be really careful who you share those frustrations with. Because, okay, so I'll give you an example. I come from a family, your grandma has been married multiple times. I can't share anything negative about your dad with your grandma. Because over the years, if I did, what I would have heard is, I'm sending you plane tickets for you and your babies to come back home right now to get away from that jerk. That's what I would have. So I had to be very careful over the years who I shared my frustrations with. And it's normal when we're at odds with someone. We want other people to validate our feelings. We want to know that, yeah, you're justified for feeling that way. And so you might share it with your best friend. Oh my gosh, she spent, or she won't let me buy this $200 gun. She's being such a witch. So you're sharing all this with your friend, and then in the meantime, you and your wife make up. So you guys are cool. Well, your friend over here still has this negative feeling about your wife. She's such a witch. What's worse is if you share it with your friend. Oh my gosh, she's such a witch. I don't know why you did this. Yeah, and your friend agrees. Yeah, I don't know why you did it either. You could have done so much better. Remember that girl that I had introduced you to before? She wouldn't have done that to you. So you guys make up here, you and your wife make up, and now you have an issue with your friend because he thinks your wife's a witch. And your wife has an issue with your friend if she ever found out that he doesn't think that you should be married to her. So it's really important that you be careful who you share your frustrations with. There's a whole long list of things that I've learned over the years. Because, 32 years, that's a freaking long time, right? You've got a lot of things that you learn over that period of time. Rich is like, God. But it's a good thing. As a mom, I want you to have a life that's even better than mine. And I'm happy with my life. The great thing about being married for 32 years after all my kids have grown up is I still like him. I still want to be with him. I still want to go and hang out with him and go to the movies or whatever. So I want that for you. I want even better for you. So if you over the years, you're gonna maybe forget some of these things, but mom's here. You know, that's why I'm here, to help maybe steer you around some pitfalls, help you navigate through some of these difficulties. But just remember that James wants me to use the word imbue in my speech. He's holding up his data variant. So if I can impart or imbue, it's a totally wrong usage of the word. But I want you to, yeah, okay. I want to imbue some knowledge. Yeah, whatever. As a mom, that's what I want you to do. I want you to listen to me. I have a whole long other list of things that I've learned over the years. I would love to share them with you, but since your brother here is rolling his eyes at me, I guess it's time that I need to stop. Mr. Toastmaster.
Hey, Ernst.
Yes.
So Phyllis.
Phyllis is here now, but we continue with our next speaker, and you will with us, if that's okay.
No problem, that's
The evaluators will still be the same. Our next speaker is going to be Ernst.
Especially since I'm an evaluator, that's very confusing. Who's evaluating who?
Oh, they stay the same. Evaluator number 1 is Martin Bell.
So he's evaluating Lori?
Yeah, no, he's going to evaluate Phyllis.
That's why it's confusing.
Oh, okay.
The same people you say.
Oh,
Is that what
okay.
you mean?
Yeah, the same people, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Staying correct.
Yeah, so we got next. All right, we got Krystal.
So our next speaker is going to be Rich Massa. He's going to speak from the entertaining speaker manual, Make Them Laugh. He is the funniest Toastmaster babber of the Lake Mary Club, uses his unique and inappropriate sense of humor. The guy walks into the bar, 5 to 7 minutes, Rich Massa.
All right, let's talk here. I want to imbue you today. You know, and mark that down. I love humor. I love inappropriate humor. And when people call me up and they're in a bad mood, I hate when people are in a bad mood. Don't you? This is interactive, guys. Don't you?
Yes.
So when they call me up in a bad mood, I tell them jokes. And I can tell some of you are in a bad mood today. If anybody knows me, my favorite superhero is Superman, obviously. So Superman is flying. He fights crime. He can leap tall buildings in a single bound. He's bulletproof. So he's flying around Metropolis one day, and he's using his X-ray vision. And he's seeing all these naked women, and he gets, being Superman, he gets super horny. And all of a sudden, guys, stay with me here, all right? Calm down. Everyone take a deep breath. Everyone. I told you I'm going to imbue some knowledge into you today. There's a purpose behind what I do today. So he sees all these naked women. He gets super horny. And he notices Wonder Woman is in bed. And she's in her bed and she's doing all these sexy things. And he notices an open window. And he thinks to himself, if I go through the window and I do my deed real quick, she'll never know I was there. So she goes in through the window, flies in, does his deed and leaves. She pops up. What the heck was that? The Invisible Man pops up. I don't know what the heck that was, but my butt is killing me. Can I view some of my feelings onto you today?
You just did.
No one's rapping the table, everyone's nervous. I feel nervousness today. I feel in today's climate, in our culture, that we're getting too politically correct. We're uptight. I feel the stick in our butts need to get the stick out of its butt. We can't laugh at ourselves anymore. We can't laugh at the things that make us different. In our cultures, in our races, in our sexuality, we can't laugh at ourselves anymore. And I want to test those boundaries with my next joke. An Irishman, a Jew, and a gay guy all die and go to heaven at the same time. And they go to the pearly gates. And they're begging God. They go, God, can you just give us one more chance? And God goes, okay, I'm going to give you guys one more chance. I'm going to put you all down to New York City. To the Irishman, you can't drink. To the Jew, you can't be cheap. And to the gay guy, we both know what you can't do. We're just going to leave that alone. We're going to leave it alone. So they all go down to New York City and they're walking around. They get very comfortable, they forget. They say, hey, we got to stick together. The Irishman, after a few hours, sees a pub. He goes, hi, laddie. That's my Irish accent, by the way. He's not going to send me to jail over one ale. So he goes in, he puts his money on the bar. One ale, please. And drinks the beer, and these flames engulf him, and he goes to hell. The Jew and the gay guy get very nervous. They go, we got to stick together. He's not joking around. So a few hours go by, and they get comfortable again. They're just walking, doo-doo. And the Jew sees a penny. He goes, oi. It's a mitzvah. He's not going to send me to jail, to hell over one penny. He looks around. He walks over to the penny. He bends down ever so slowly, and they both go to hell. Let that soak in for a second, guys. I love bar humor. I used to be a bartender back in the day, back in my younger days. And you hear some very interesting jokes. So I'm going to share one of my favorite ones with you today. Per the title of my speech, a guy walks into a bar. So a guy walks into a bar one day, and he sees a sign, and he sees a horse. A horse? What the heck is a horse doing in here today? So he goes to the bartender, he goes, hey, what's this sign? The bartender goes, well, the sign says if you make the horse laugh, you get to drink free all night. He goes, so if I make that horse laugh, I get to drink free all night. He goes, I can do that. Bartender goes, there's no way you're going to make, no one's ever done it. He goes, watch this. He goes over to the horse, and he whispers in his ear. And the horse starts dying laughing. He goes, okay, pay up. The bartender goes, what? How the heck did you do that? He goes, I'm not going to share my secret. Pay up on your deal. So he drinks free all night. Next night comes. The guy walks into a bar, sees the sign, sees the horse, goes to the bartender and goes, same deal? Bartender goes, there's no way you're gonna make that horse drink laugh 2 nights in a row. He goes, same deal though. If I make that horse laugh, I get the drink free all night. He goes, yes. All right. Goes over to the horse. Whispers in his ears. Horse starts dying laughing. Let me drink free all night. So the bartender is wise to this guy. He obviously has a trick. So he changes the sign. Guy walks into a bar, sees the sign. Make the horse cry. Drink free all night. Goes to the bartender. So if I make that horse cry, I get to drink free all night. Now the bartender goes, there's no way. No one can make a horse cry. Guy goes, I'm gonna make that horse cry, watch it. So he drags the horse into the corner, and all of a sudden, the horse goes up to the bar, and the bartender goes, I'm not giving you one friggin' drink until you tell me how to do that. I won't tell anybody. You gotta tell me, how did you make that horse laugh and cry? He goes, okay, all right. The jig is up. Obviously, I have a trick. He goes, the first 2 nights, I told the horse that my penis was bigger than his. And tonight, I showed him. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I hope you appreciated my jokes today. Let's get a little inappropriate, and I hope I imbued my humor all over you today. Mr. Toastmaster.
1 minute.
You might need a little
2 minutes.
2-minute evaluation on that one. If you want to keep me out of the club, I understand.
You guessed I didn't speak last week?
Oh, were you in last week? No, you
We're
watched
getting thousands of hits on YouTube.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Our next speaker will be Phyllis. She's speaking from the Competent Communications Manual number 3. Get to the point, organize speech to achieve general and specific purpose. Reinforce purpose with beginning, body, and conclusion. Project sincere and conviction. Control nervousness and strive not to use notes. The subject is the midnight, January 1, 2000. Phyllis.
So this is a tale that imbues me with warm memories and love for my father. And you're thinking, wait a second. January 1st, 1999, a notorious date for the turning of the century. This is the time to party. I myself was 23 years old. I was a teacher, so I had plenty of time off, didn't have to worry about going to work the next day, and no attachments. I was free to do whatever. So this would be party time, right? Not so much. I actually chose to go with my parents to a fishing camp they have up on Horseshoe Beach, which is around the Big Bend area of Florida, up around, if you guys are familiar with Chief Lane Cross City. This is nature's coast. There's no Disney, there's no Miami. It's woods and swamps and natural coastline for miles and miles and miles. So this is where I was thinking, hey, this would be a great place to spend this great event that I'm never going to see again in my entire lifetime. If you all remember back at that time, we were all dealing with the whole Y2K thing, what was going to happen in our jobs. You heard every other day, Prince, may he rest in peace, 1999 on the radio happening at least every other day. And for this big, great electronic celebration event, I'm gonna go where there is nothing. We have electricity, we have a nice little camp. There were some, it wasn't quite as fancified as it has become in the last decade, but literally nothing. We had electricity, we have boats, that's about it. So here we go, my dad has this great idea. Hey, let's not hang out at the camp. Just me, my dad, and my mom. But let's not hang out at the camp, Phyllis. Let's go try this new thing some of the other guys told me about. Let's go gig grouper. I'm like, okay, no problem. Let's see this as something new, some kind of new adventure. And we're gonna go do this on New Year's Eve, and this is what's gonna be our New Year's Eve. Sounds great, Dad. So, when we talk about gigging fish and grouper, we're not talking about fish. We're talking about fish.
What?
These are big, huge, I mean, they, like I'm putting here, the fish that we actually saw that evening probably were bigger than this. And this is not just a fish tail. So, here we go out. My dad's homemade airboat, because it's just a thing we do. We're Floridians. I'm a 6th generation Floridian. We have airboats. So, we go out in the airboat, and this is the Gulf. So, it's about 3 miles out in the water before you get anywhere in any type of depth. So, not, probably about 4 to 6 feet water is where we're at in. So we're going out. Got our spotlight, going through the water, we're seeing them. Okay, what are we gonna do, Phil? We're like, all right, Dad, we got the gig, which is a metal pole about 10 feet with little barbs, like about that, sharp barbs coming off of them, about 3 or 4 of them. I think this had a 4-prong gig. So all right, I'm gonna go get this huge fish with this gig and a spotlight and my dad running the airboat. All right, we're in for it. So we come across the first one. All right, Dad, I got it. And it's just sitting there. That's apparently what they do. They come in the water and in the shallows in the evening, they just sit there and just kind of chill out. Noisy airboat, doesn't bother them none. So here we go. I'm on the edge on the floor, and I'm like, got it! Right off of him. So Dad spins the airboat around, come around and find another one. All right, Dad, I got this one. You ready? Okay. All right, Phil, make sure you're balanced. Okay, Dad, got it. Missed again. My dad gives me one more chance. My dad is a fisherman. 2 things you gotta know about my dad when you're going out fishing. You're gonna be there for a while, and you're not gonna catch more fish than him. Because if you do, you're gonna be out there for even longer. So by my 3rd miss, my dad is frustrated. And he's like, all right, Phil, let's switch positions. I'm like, okay, I've driven an airboat before. Not all that much and not all that of late, because I was a young woman, got back from college, working all that stuff, so I hadn't been out with my dad airboating in quite some time. So I was like, all right, Dad. So my dad then, he's getting down on the base of the boat. I'm up here. If you don't know airboats, you have the base down here and then the driver's up on the top. So I'm up here. I got the handles. I'm maneuvering the airboat around. Found another grouper. It's a huge one. I couldn't believe it. And it's like the eyes were in weird set, the way this one was. And so my dad, he's like, all right, Phil, pull it around a little bit more to the right. Okay, Dad, got it. And so here's my dad. My dad is shorter than me. I'm 6'2", my dad's 6 foot. But he is a fireman of, at that point, 24 years. And built, if you guys can turn a phrase, built like a brick shithouse. No small guy. Don't want to meet him in the dark alley. And he's a Floridian, so if you see my pale skin, imagine me being out for the first 30 years of my life out in the sun and getting red. So my dad has that red complexion. So here is my dad. He's like, he is not just going to be staying in the boat gigging. So he gets it as he's gigging down on it. He jumps into the water on top of the thing. And he thinks he's got it. And he missed. I was like, ah! So you see, it is a bit harder than what you think, Dad. So he had actually jumped into the water, had the gig in it, still missed. So my dad jumps back in the boat. He's like, we're going to get this done. Because this was our goal. This is what we're going to do sometime on the turn of the century, coming in the year 2000. So then we get going again. He's like, and we're all excited, we're gonna get it this time, because we know we got it down now. We know what we're supposed to do. Buddy didn't get us all that much information, but we've got it. So we find another one. I get the boat maneuvered. Here we go. And Dad's like, all right, turn it left real quick, Phyllis. And so he's getting down, getting ready to go in the water. I turn it left, and down goes the boat into the water. Because I turned it a little too quickly left, flipped it over, swamped the boat.
Oh, no.
And now here we are, probably sometime around midnight on December 31st, heading into January 1st, the year 2000. And I spend my midnight in a swamped airboat that sunk in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. But that's not where the tale ends. So now we have the swamp boat. we're out in the middle, we can kind of see there's a little patch of dry land. All right, let's take the boat. We gotta take the boat probably about from here to the parking lot. We gotta take the boat up here so that it doesn't get in the way of any other fishermen or anything, because of course the lights are down off of it and everything else. So here my dad and I, we tug the boat over to the side. All right, Dad, what are we gonna do now? Because it's a long walk back into Horseshoe, because we're way out, a ways from any roads or anything else. It's like we're getting ready to tramp through the Gulf and hope that nothing happens, when out in the distance we see a little light coming through. I'm like, hey, there's a boat. So keeps coming closer, keeps coming closer. Apparently we were in one of near one of the lanes of traffic. They saw us. I forget exactly how we got that. I think we may have had a light still on or something. But here on a fishing trowel come, let's just call them Billy Bob and Junior probably, because that's kind of the people that we have up there in Horseshoe. And Billy Bob and Junior having themselves a nice time out on the Gulf of Mexico that evening. And I wasn't even certain if they were going to stop the boat in time to not hit my dad and I. So here we go, Billy Bob and Junior, drunk off their ass, but willing to help a hand to other people who are obviously in some issues. Jump up on the fishing trowel with Billy Bob and Junior, and they take us into shore with a good tale to tell to my mom of why we're both soaked and we have no airboat with us. And that's how I spent my exciting turn of the century New Year's Eve. Thank you very much.
Time of 1 minute, please. Thank you. Next in line is table topics. Here we can practice our impromptu public speaking skills. Welcome, Stacy.
Hi, Stacy.
Table topics.
So good morning, fellow Toastmasters. How is everybody?
Good. So my first question is, when was there a time in your life you had to forgive somebody? Macarena?
A time in my life where I had to forgive somebody was a couple of years ago. And it was somebody very close to me, and it was probably the hardest thing to do. As we all know, forgiveness is not easy. It's actually one of the hardest things that we can all do. However, through this experience, through this very painful experience, and through God's strength and help, I was able to forgive him. It wasn't easy, but I was able to, because I knew that if I didn't forgive him, it would hurt me just as much as, or even more, if I had never forgiven him. It would have festered inside of me. It would have torn me apart, and not forgiving someone is like a cancer that eats you inside. So through forgiving him, I have found a huge amount of weight lifted off my shoulders. The chains have broken, and we are now in good relationship with one another. The past is behind us. I know God does not want us to forget, because he wants you to know where you came from and where you are now. And I believe that forgiving someone is very important to me.
question. When was there a time in your life you chose to forget what somebody did to you but not forgive? Stephen?
Madam Toastmaster, when I'm doing the hypnosis work that I'll do when I'm trying to help people, forgiveness is the thing that I'm often trying to explain. And where Macarena describes it is the ideal. The basic concept comes down to if you've got some incident, some trauma that you've experienced, what'll happen within your own head is that you end up keep reliving it. And it's, as a result, it ends up constantly being in the present, not a part of the past. The concept of forgiveness in that sense is letting it become a part of the past. You have to stop that cycle of constantly reliving it. Because the key part of it is the person that you're angry with or who has hurt you is not being hurt by what you were doing. You are doing it to yourself. Therefore, it becomes an instance of letting go, not forgetting, because there is a lesson to be learned within that. And if for nothing else, you don't want to forget so that you don't keep end up reliving it yet again. The concept is simply that letting go. My own experience, I'm not looking to forget. I'm happy to make other people forget for fun. That's the best part of that work. But the key of it is simply letting go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have 5 reasons why you should forgive. Or perhaps not forget. Number 1, forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was okay. It does not mean that person should still be welcomed in your life. Forgiveness just means that you have made peace with the pain and you're ready to let go. Number 2, forgiveness is not something we do to others. It's something we do for ourselves. Not forgiving someone is the equivalent of staying trapped in a jail of bitterness, serving time for someone else's crime. As I wrote earlier, you make a choice to either dwell on the pain caused by others or you want to forgive and move on. Number 3, Gandhi once said, the weak never forgive. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. It takes a strong person to face pain head on, forgive and release it. Number 4, forgiveness isn't always about others, it's about forgiving yourself. Guilt never makes anyone feel better. So always remember to forgive yourself and move on. And number 5, to forgive someone is the highest, most beautiful form of love. You might find that you get a sense of peace and happiness in return. If none of the above appeals to you, you might want to take the advice of Oscar Wilde. Always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much more. It is now time for our general evaluator. I'm asking Stephen to please come up.
At this point, we want to get the feedback that we are all here for in order to learn and grow. We begin with the formal evaluations of the prepared speeches. We have Lori speaking first, and my colleague Krystal will be evaluating Lori, so please welcome Krystal.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Hello, Lori. You know, it's very difficult to evaluate a very seasoned speaker. You walk around with such confidence. You use no notes. You have this lovely voice. You have just the right tone for all of us to hear. Now, to this particular speech, inspire your audience. The goal was to inspire us or to imbue us with the desire to stay within a marriage. The goal is to inspire us to improve personally, emotionally, professionally, spiritually, or by relying heavily on emotional appeal. It was a lot of fun being one of your children sitting here listening to you, because I think all of us at one point or another have wondered, what is the secret to having a long-lasting relationship, right? And you come in and you gave us your top 3 secrets. That was It was very nice for us. Did the speaker understand and express the feelings and needs of the audience? So I felt that yes, you tried to answer a universal question that all of us in here should be touched by. We're all trying to keep up relationships, right? Was the speaker forceful, confident, and positive? You're very confident. You're always positive. But I think that maybe to raise the energy in the room, to imbue some passion in us, right? You could raise your voice, speak a little more forcefully, maybe take an example of what not to do. Give a knockdown fight, show us some anger, and then say, don't do it that way. And just to raise the energy in the room, let's see, what else did we have here? And bottom line is, yes, your advice is good, and you do inspire us to work towards having a lasting marriage. And I thank you for that. That's my evaluation.
For the evaluation I'm sure we're all waiting for, please welcome Stephany evaluating Rich's speech.
Nice person.
Look at her face. Yes, Mom.
You really tried your poor mama this time.
Oh, look at that.
Right now. The project was make them laugh, and that you did. Now the underlying goal was to be politically incorrect or get the stick out. That you did also. You said that you were going to imbue us with knowledge. Knowledge is fine. Licentiousness, not so sure.
I don't know what that means.
Speaker was confident, absolutely, while some of us were nervous. Great body language. My favorite, I'm going out of order and not quite sticking to the sandwich script. My favorite, of course, was the animal noises. That was phenomenal. You really do a good horse. Some observations. Ask the Toastmaster or the Sergeant at Arms to prepare your props ahead of time so we can just look at, just plain confident you do your thing. We went to hell, Joe. That was fun. But I would, as a suggestion, also tone down the subject matter a little bit to make it a little bit more Lake Mary appropriate. Apparently, a foundation of filth has been laid here, and you readily hopped upon it and built upon it. There was laughter all around. No matter what it is, you're going to be entertaining. My son Rich.
Thanks, Mom.
And evaluating Phyllis's speech, please welcome Martin Bell.
Phyllis, terrific speech. Midnight, January 1st, 2000. As someone who was personally imbued many beers on that night, having been kicked out of Have a Nice Day Cafe not once but twice, I really enjoyed your story, contrasting that with what 99% of the world's population is actually doing at the turn of the century. So the objectives were to get to the point and have a clear purpose, which was to tell a story. You specifically told a great story of fishing with your dad. And in terms of getting to the point and making things clear, I think Phyllis did a great job on that case in several ways. First of all, you gave a very clear description of the fishing camp. As someone who's never been fishing to a camp, you did a great job. In addition to that, you told us how you fish on an airboat. I've always been interested in airboats. I see them when I'm crossing Alligator Alley, but I have no idea how you actually fish. You did a very good job of getting to the point briefly, telling us how to fish. Then you also gave a very good description of of your dad and his physical characteristics, and how you all messed up fishing, how you didn't do it right. So I thought you got to the point on that very clearly as well. And then lastly, how you were saved. So I thought throughout the speech, you did a very good job of making it clear with vivid description of just telling a very awesome story of fishing with your dad. In terms of perhaps making the speech a little bit more different to make it more effective, I might have thought of, well, how were you feeling at the time versus 15, 16 years later, how you think of it now? Was it all warm and fuzzy, as we heard today? Or was your dad super pissed? Was it all, But I really enjoyed how you told a great story and brought in a different perspective of the turn of the century. And just keep going. Thanks for the story.
Now that we've all been imbued with the wisdom from our evaluators, it's time for the feedback from the technical table. We begin first with our timer. Julia, how did we do with our time?
Mr. General Evaluator and Toastmasters and guests, we did great with our time this morning. Rich, kudos. I'll get to that in a minute. Phyllis, you did an absolutely magnificent job at 7:53. And Lori at 8:42. Thanks, Lori. And Rich, 7:52. I wish Marty were here. He would not believe it. Yes. Macarena, 127 on your table topics. And I just want to personally say your topic and the way you approached it was magnificent. Very touching. And Stephen, 1 minute, 16 seconds. And for our evaluators, again, excellent. We looked at Phyllis's evaluation at 2:13, Martin, and Lori's evaluation by Krystal at 2:14, and Rich's evaluation by Stephany at 1:53. Thank you.
From our odd counter.
Y'all viewed me with entertainment today. You kept me very, very busy. Ernst, we had 2 double clutches, 10 cents. James, we had the ers, and us, just 1 and 2 double clutches. Julia, I already did my math, so you got away with 7. We had the 1 1 so, 1 double clutch, and 3 lip smacks, total 25%. Lori, 1 1 so, 1 butt, 1 2 double clutches, 3 lip smacks. Rich, 1 and 5 lip smacks. Phyllis, you are our winner today. We had, for a total of $1.20, 6 8 so's, 5 double clutches, and 3 hands. Macarena, Stephen, and Stephany all clean. Great job. Krystal, you were close behind with $1.15. We had 11 so's, the 1 so, 2 likes 2 double clutches, 1 and used as a filler, and 7 lip smacks. Martin Bell, much improved. Only 45 cents, so you're good. 4 ums, 2 so's, 1 like, and 2 others, like other descriptive stuff. And I now have 1 like. Go ahead and pay up.
Mary and James, how did we handle the language this morning?
Okay, use of word today. We have Lori twice, Toastmaster 3 times, Speaker Phyllis once, Stephen once, Krystal twice, Stephany once, Martin once, and Sam once. And use of the English language today. Freaking bad.
I saw the whole spectrum.
That's a wide range.
I like Lori's comment, freaking long time.
Yes.
Rich, too politically correct, and other things I won't even bother to address. Phyllis, built like a brick house. She had another word in it somewhere. Drunk off your ass. I like Krystal's comments. Raise the energy. That was a very big word.
what Rich had. Sandwich script, like that from Stephany, and laid a foundation of filth.
General Evaluator, my feedback on the meeting, since it's already 8:27 and I'm supposed to have done by 8:26, I think we have an issue with time. We should hopefully try to make that up by table topics, but by the time we'd started table topics, I was already supposed to be up here as General Evaluator. Which I can suggest for the Toastmaster, when it's obvious that we have this many speeches and one speech is going to go longer, you do have the authority to kick a speaker off the agenda if necessary. You have a full authority to the agenda to change it if needed in order to make things fit. So if somebody's coming up with a longer speech, do what's needed to have everything fit. And since I'm as much, I'm sure, to blame for this layer of filth that Stephany is worried about, I should point out that since we have made no standards for the club itself, Toastmasters International Standards is all subjects are acceptable. Just take your audience in mind. Although at this point, I think the club might be wanting to set standards. We shall have to see. I'll leave that to our president, Julia.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah. Rich knew I was had a little anxiety, but you did all right. It was great. I was imbued by all three speeches today. Really great speeches. We have some speakers. We have guests in our audience today, and I'd like to hear from them what they thought of our meeting today and what brought you here. Lyndon, we'll start with you. Welcome.
Any particular order I should answer those questions?
Whatever you would like.
What brought me here was a 1996 Z28 with only 62,000 miles. I've never owned a muscle car. It is fabulous. Bought it from a Toastmaster. I've been in Toastmasters before. I've been in Toastmasters 2 times before. I'm bound, determined to get those first 5 speeches right. My first speech was as an 8-year-old at 1066 when my dad was president of that club. And there was a Bring Your Child event, and we were evaluators. So I got to evaluate the speakers. That was my first introduction to Toastmasters. We should do that again.
That's a great idea.
And I'm so glad that I have been imbued with this love, Lake Mary style. I have visited many clubs at this point in time and didn't want to be myopic in going back to 1066, my dad's old club. So I've now visited so many clubs, I almost feel like an area governor. And yes, I think a rating system might just need to be established, and this will probably be a PG club.
Well, welcome to our Gene, what did you think of our meeting today, and welcome?
I'm already going to say a lot of those. I enjoyed it greatly. I heard a lot of good things over the years about Toastmasters and have worked with some folks who have gone through Toastmasters and improved their skills. And I am, I guess, a new opportunity that challenges myself where I think I could be improved there. So I'm eager to see if I can avail myself of the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, welcome. We'll give you a packet for both of you when you leave so you can learn more about our club specifically. Speaking of Toastmasters, did anybody see the article in paper about Toastmasters?
It's paper, it's so old.
It's not. It's sweet. It was one homeless man find a voice in Toastmasters.
Yeah, I heard.
Fantastic
I
article.
saw it.
I'm going to pass it around. You guys can read it, but really does it well. One of the most proudest moments in Toastmasters is earning your first award.
You passed the video.
Our first award, and that's your Competent Communication Pin. That's after you've given 10 speeches. And I have the honor to present that pin to our very distinguished Toastmaster who spoke today, giving her 10th speech, Ms. Lori Richter! That was wonderful.
Yay.
Great, well done. And I've already passed time. Carrie was not here because she is practicing liking ballet and orchestra, they'll be performing Beauty and the Beast on Friday and Saturday nights at the Dr. Phillips Center. So keep that in mind, contact here if you're interested in going to the concerts. Do we have any other business? Where's the schedule?
Have a schedule on next week for going around.
It's over there.
Real quick, we typically stay on time. I apologize for being late. Quickly though, we have Stephen for Toastmaster next week. Stephen, you good?
For which?
Next week.
Toastmaster, all right.
Okay, I have Shane giving his icebreaker. Rich, would you let Shane know or get a hold of him?
All right.
All right, Carrie is our second speaker. Alexandra is on for a speaker as well. Marty is our table topics master. Sam, you're scheduled as general evaluator. Good, all right. Lori, and we need an evaluator next week. Anybody want to evaluate?
I'll evaluate.
Awesome, thanks, Rich. Chris is scheduled as off-counter, Phyllis, grammarian, and Stacy, timer. Awesome. Great meeting, everybody. Have a great week.